back to episode 4 of Street Smart Business TV. Man, I'm having fun pulling all this together. I hope you're enjoying it as well. Now, get ready because I'm probably going to upset a few of you right now. I do it from time to time. And here's where I'm coming from today. You see, the reality is most of you are as boring as batshit. You heard it. That's what I'm saying. A lot of you are as boring as batshit. That's a bit rude, you might think. Well, think about your message out there in the marketplace. What is it that you are saying out there? Are you standing out from the crowd? Are you holding your head up there and saying, here I am guys, look at me? Or are you sort of hiding in the corner and not really wanting to make waves? Only you can answer that question, but guys, I'm going to give you 2 examples of people, 2 Australian heroes in my opinion, that really should be edified. The first one is Dick Smith. Now, Dick Smith had some mighty cojones. Now these days I guess he's in some semi-retirement. He's doing his bit for Australia, you know, he's got the Australian food business that he runs, but I'm going to tell you a story way back in 1978. In fact, it was the 1st of April 1978. What he did was he started telling the media how we could get an iceberg and we could get this iceberg, chop it off from the Arctic. Now, great idea, and the media were talking about this and starting to get some traction, etc, etc. So, 1st of April 1978, understand what's happening is that people saw this huge iceberg being towed by a barge through the heads of Sydney Harbour. I kid you not. So Dickie's bringing this big iceberg into our harbour. Now, as soon as the media got hold of this, it went wild. Now, they got on the radio and they rang Dick and he's saying, yeah, that's right, and what we're going to do, we're going to sell this ice that we've got because it's the purest water. It's going to improve the taste of any drink that you might have. So you put this ice in there, this ice cube, it's going to be wonderful. Now, we're going to call these things Dixicles. How's that? So we're going to have a Dixicle and we're going to send each Dixicle 10 cents per ice cube. Now, the world went crazy. All of Australia, America was hearing about it. This dude brought an iceberg into Sydney Harbour. Every radio station, every newspaper, every TV station, they're all talking about Dick and his little Dixicle. So 10 cents for an ice cube. Now, as all of this thing was happening, people are coming to the foreshores on the Sydney Harbour and they're seeing this ice cube being pulled in, and then it starts to rain. And what happens then? All of the fire extinguisher foam that was on this big tarp, this white tarp, started to wash off, and all the shaving cream that Dick put on there, and underneath there's this white big tarp that Dickie's pulling in right next to the Opera House. It was hilarious, but he brought this iceberg in. Now, guys, this is what I'm talking about, is having big cojones and standing out. I had to take my hat off to him. He's a national hero. It's not the first thing he's done to get publicity. He's a master of it. Now, I'm going to tell you about another person. He owned this national chain of stores, retail stores, called Norman Ross way back when. He owned them with another guy called Ian Norman, and they sold them to Bondi. Alan Bond bought this chain, and the agreement was, when they sold them, that Jerry would be able to stay on as the general manager, CEO of the organisation. However, Bondi didn't exactly stick to the true letter of the agreement, and as soon as the deal was done, he sacked Jerry, he got rid of them, and Jerry was out on the sidewalk. Not a very nice thing to do. But Jerry, being a true entrepreneur, he didn't let that happen and lie down and take it. He got up and he started Harvey Norman. Now, his whole marketing campaign, the whole principle of what he did, and I'm pretty sure Singo had something to do with this, his TV ads, non-stop. We're gonna get ya, we're gonna get ya. That was Jerry. He was coming on, his head was coming on. Everyone knew the story of how Alan Bond did him over. And so he tapped into the psyche of the Australian public, and nobody likes somebody getting a raw deal. We like the idea of a fair go, and your word is your word. And so, you know, he hit the sentiment. He hit the emotional sentiment of Australia. And so where did they go? They stopped going to Norman Ross. They started going to Jerry Harvey's stores, Harvey Norman, and now he's become our biggest chain store. He's just got a reputation second to none. And guess what happened to Norman Ross? Well, it doesn't exist anymore. Probably most of you have never heard of it. But the commonality between these 2 stories is that these 2 national icons, these 2 heroes of Australia, tapped into our emotions, ladies and gentlemen. They tapped into our emotions and they used them and they got publicity for their own businesses and they became massive in their own right. What I'm saying to you is, how are you tapping into the emotions of your marketplace? Are you standing out from the crowd? Are you saying something that's worth being said, or are you a shrinking violet? Well, hello everyone. Look, I'm really pleased to bring to you a friend of mine, Alan Patching, a gentleman that is a very rare individual. Now, I do my best to seek out true masters that have really nailed, if you like, the principles of success. And today, the reason I want to ask Alan to share his thoughts is because he's really excelled at working out the work-life balance that many business owners have challenges with. Now, I want to give you a bit of an idea of what Alan has achieved in his time, and it's quite extraordinary. Now, in fact, the list is so long that I can't even remember everything in my head, but it literally starts with him being the CEO of the owning entity of the Sydney Olympic Stadium. So, yes, this gentleman was responsible for building our spectacular Olympic Stadium that the world looked at and was so impressed with. So what I want to do is just spend a couple of minutes talking to you today so that our listeners can hear how you've really taken that journey, how you've managed to get to where you are. And I know you've had a few road bumps, but if you could share that journey with us, and so our listeners can benefit from the lessons that you've learned in your life.
Yeah, it has been a good life. I wouldn't swap it, although there's been times when I probably wish I could swap it for someone else's. Quite a few people approached me to come and work with them, and eventually the offer was too good. Someone said, you come to us, we'll put the money in, you put the talent in, we'll go 50-50 in setting up a business. That worked very well. The business grew to 60 people. And less
is that in project management?
In project management.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And that was here in Queensland. We had an office in the Gold Coast, an office in Brisbane, a small one in Sydney, and a small one in New Zealand. Now the one in New Zealand, I should have kept a share in the company, but I sold it, of course. It's looking after the reconstruction of Christchurch after the. It's a
job,
big job.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Big job. They're very, very successful people, but that was an important part of my life.
Okay, so essentially you deal with a lot of clients because you are a psychotherapist. Okay, one of the hats that you wear. What would you like to share with our listeners to, if you like, give them a red light to some warning signs if things are occurring in their life right now that they should take note of it and take action on? Is there any red lights that you'd be wanting to make them aware of?
Yeah, I think, as you know, I research at Bond University stress in one of the industries, and that's project management and construction. I'm researching stress at another university in England. People don't know the effect of stress. The effect of stress is majorly impactful. The production of adrenaline over and over again, and eventually cortisol, is the gateway to heart disease, cancer, all sorts of problems, diabetes. So the number one thing in today's world, because of the thing you're saying, chasing the buck, is that we really do need to encourage people to get in charge of stress, get in control of it. And that means to understand the things that trigger it off for you, to make time for either exercise or meditation or some mindfulness. If you've got a temper issue, go see a hypnotherapist or a psychotherapist or a counsellor and learn some simple techniques of relaxation so that you don't become victim of your personality in respect of getting upset every time something happens that goes against the way you want to do it. And most people do what we call deficiency focusing. They focus on, I haven't got this, I haven't got that, I haven't done that, I haven't got enough time, instead of focusing on the positives to balance that out. And deficiency focusing is a big stressor. So if you find people in your workplace doing that, just reframe it back. Well, you haven't got much time to do anything, but you're doing a great job and you're earning a good living and supporting your family. And maybe they'd be happy if you just drop back a little bit, and they drop back a little bit so the demands weren't so high.
So Alan, I really appreciate the time you've spent with us today. We've got some very valuable insights, and it's interesting to see that journey that you've taken, and I feel your pain with that. But it also made you stronger, I'm sure. It made me stronger, it gave me X-ray vision and let me focus my priorities when times got tough. Now, there's very few in the land that has got your wealth of experience, and I know that you're highly sought after as a psychotherapist, and you help a lot of individuals really try to, if you like, get clarity on life and the important things that happen. So our listeners out there, you mentioned that you'd be happy to help them out with some further information. So could you share what you'd be able to do for us and our listeners?
Sure, and look, I'm coming from the spot where I realise from experience, as do you, that the sort of life we lead has a hell of an impact on relationships, particularly relationships at home and close relationships at business if you're in partnership with people. And yet it's the very relationships that the business is knocking around if it gets out of kilter a bit, that work-life balance. It's those relationships that are required to underpin a successful person and a successful business. So I think the best gift I could give to anybody is one of the products we have on our website. It's $349 usually,
right.
And it's called You Can Have Better Relationships. It's geared around a couple, you know, in a family situation, but the principles are equally correct for the business situation, and we cross over talking about business example and couples. There's a lot of videos in it, a lot of audios in it, there's an ebook in it, there's tracks people can listen to driving to and from work. And it's the sort of thing you can just listen to a little bit of here and there and make sure that the foundation of your business, which is the relationships at business and home, are in good nick. And I'd like to offer that to all your listeners free of charge. And all they have to do is click the link below and that'll take them to a place where they can.
Hey Trips, well, time for another question from the audience, if you like, our virtual audience. I'm loving this. Now don't forget, if you have any questions for me, pop them up on Facebook and we'll have a look at them. Our staff are looking at it all the time and I'd like to answer it for you. So we'll see what we got this time. Michael, who's the victim this time? Oh my goodness, well guys, this is Randy from Phoenix, Arizona. I hope you're watching, Randy. Here it is. Hi Ian, I own a bike store and my sales have been regularly dropping. Tell me, do you think I would be able to sell my bicycles online? Well, it's a good question. Understand the world's totally changing, Randy. I'm curious how long you've had your bike store for, but here's the reality. You've got no option but to go online these days. If you do not see what's coming ahead and how this massive transaction is occurring, then you're going to be left on the sidewalk and your business is going to continually start decreasing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad he asked this question. If you do not have a strong online presence in your business, get one. If you don't know how to get it, contact us and we'll help you. But Randy, I want to see you investigating that, and feel free, pop a call into our office. I'm happy to have a chat to you.